This video contains spoilers on the Halloween franchise up to and including Halloween 2018. So viewers, please be warned. The spoilers are about to begin.
I shot him in the heart!
Can't have gotten very far. Come on.
I shot him 6 times!
An hour ago, I stood up and fired 6 shots into him. He just got up and walked away.
I shot him 6 times!
Why don't we press the reset button? Why don't we just start over, okay?
The timeline in the Halloween franchise is always something that's been a bit of a mess. And with the passage of time, things have gotten even messier. The 1978 original is widely considered a classic in the genre, and not without good reason. The second installment in 1981, for me at least, was even more enjoyable. It was a near-perfect continuation of the original, and what I personally loved about Halloween 2 was that it embraced more of a modern take on the slasher subgenre. It also helped a great deal that this sequel was the only sequel in the franchise that featured both Donald Pleasence and Jamie Lee Curtis, both reprising their respective roles as Dr. Loomis and Laurie Strode. The third installment, Season of the Witch from 1982, this is probably the most controversial installment in the franchise. To this very day, many people are perturbed because there was no Michael Myers in this one. This irked me as well when I was younger, but even when I was younger, I realized this was a terrific horror movie in its own right. I believe Part 3 tends to be grossly underrated on the whole, and it had a kick-ass performance from Tom Atkins. Personally, I love it, but it had nothing to do with the first 2 films. Indeed, it wasn't even in the same world, as evidenced by the fact that at one point the original was playing in the background. The long-awaited triumphant return of Michael Myers happened in 1988, and this was actually the first Halloween movie I saw in the theater when it was released. The return of Pleasence as Dr. Loomis was every bit as triumphant as the return of Myers himself. While it's still a bit baffling that Myers had 20/20 vision following the events at the conclusion of Halloween 2, I thought this was otherwise an admirable effort. The only downside here is that Halloween 4 lacked our beloved Laurie Strode. But this film picked right up where we left off 10 years later after the events of Halloween 2. So Halloween 4 sort of began a mini self-contained trilogy that culminated in Part 6. I thought this mini trilogy got weaker as it proceeded, but the mere presence of the Loomis character alone kept these enjoyable for me. In 1998, Halloween H2O represented a reset. This was understandable because Donald Pleasence had sadly passed away, and Jamie Lee Curtis finally reprised the role of Laurie. So H2O acted as if Halloween 3, 4, 5, and 6 never even existed. Like Halloween 4, H2O was another take that was a continuation of Halloween 2. This one was directed by the great Steve Miner, and I thought this was easily one of the best sequels in the franchise. Halloween 8 continued from there, but I thought Halloween 8 was a shit show. Not a zombie shit show, but if you're going to kill Laurie Strode, you do it during the final 15 minutes of the movie, not in the opening 15 minutes. After Laurie's short-lived cameo that resulted in her unceremonious death to begin the film, everything was downhill after that. So finally, we have Halloween 2018, and this acted as yet another reset. But unlike the reset in H2O, which was an alternate continuation of Halloween 2, 2018 inexplicably reset back to the conclusion of the original classic. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the huge flaw in the most recent reset to the Halloween timeline.
What year is this?
Pretending as if Halloween 2 never happened is a baffling creative decision. The only reason that makes sense as to why they did this was to abandon the brother-sister reveal. Okay. The thing about Myers being Laurie's sister was always a little bit silly. As an only child, I often found it hysterical that Michael Myers was this invincible evil force whose main objective was killing his sisters. I gotta kill my sister.
He killed one sister 15 years ago. Now he's trying to kill the other.
My brother killed my sister when she was 17.
I shot him 6 times.
Why don't we press the reset button? Why don't we just start over, okay?
Okay, so now Laurie Strode wasn't Michael's sister, but at what cost? So now Michael isn't some evil force that is hell-bent on killing his sister. Does that make the working concept any less ridiculous? I mean, either way, you're still left with Michael Myers chasing after Laurie Strode. Only now, it's 40 years later, and he's still after her. Is that any less ridiculous than Myers looking to destroy his siblings? Let's not forget that Halloween 2018 made it a point to tell us that Michael is just a man.
Michael Myers murdered 5 people. And he's a human being, we need to understand.
So if Michael is just some old, normal, deranged dude who kills people, what's the fun in that? This means he killed a few people some 40 years ago, and now he's just some old man on a rampage. I'm reminded of the angry mob scene in Cocoon. I mean, Michael was slow enough as it was when he was 21 years old and in his prime. By omitting Halloween 2 from the timeline, we lose the entire aura of evil that stemmed from gems like this.
Couldn't have shot him 6 times.
You think I'm lying, Sheriff?
I think you missed him. No man could take 6 slugs.
I tell you, this isn't a man.
Get away from him. But he stopped breathing. No!
Without that aura of invincible evil that began in the original classic and culminated in the epic sequel, what are we really left with? An old man who killed a few people before he was quickly apprehended, and then he was held in confinement for 40 years before he could finally escape to kill again. With Halloween 2018 kicking off a new trilogy, we are left with Michael's prime killing years happening when he was just a normal old dude in his 60s. That's the real cost here. We lose the invincible aura of evil and are simply left with your run-of-the-mill psychotic old fart.
Why don't we press the reset button? Why don't we just start over, okay?
I maintain that the original 2 Halloween movies were nearly perfect for what they were in their day, and both have withstood the test of time. At least for me they have. They were also both incredibly innovative for helping to pave the way for the evolution of the slasher subgenre. So acting as if Halloween 2 never happened is just plain wrong. I honestly believe they would have been better off just doing another reset that dated back to part 2, like H2O before. Was it really that bad that Laurie and Michael would still be siblings? Again, is that any less ridiculous than what we're left with instead? Halloween 2 and H2O both remain awesome installments, even with the silly sibling angle. And then even the mini-trilogy that was parts 4, 5, and 6. If Michael was hell-bent on destroying his sister, then it would stand to reason he may want to eliminate a young niece as well. Sure, why not? Besides, while those movies were obviously lacking because we had no Laurie Strode, we still had a lot of kick-ass scenes from Dr. Loomis, and Danielle Harris did a kick-ass job in her own right as Jamie Lloyd. So Michael used to enjoy murdering his own blood and family, but at least this came with the aura of invincibility that existed in every Myers Halloween film except one, Halloween 2018. Because even in the original, he had seemingly survived being shot 6 times by our hero, Dr. Loomis.
I shot him in the heart.
Can't have gotten very far. Come on.
I shot him 6 times.
All of this being said, Halloween 2018 wasn't without its own charm. For sheer nostalgia alone, watching Michael resume his pursuit of our beloved Laurie made it an inherently enjoyable experience for me. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was terrific, and by and large I thought the whole cast was pretty solid. There were also some fun kills and thrills along the way, and Halloween 2018 certainly wasn't the worst sequel in the franchise. I thought it was definitely better than parts 6 and 8. And you could maybe make the case that it was even better than part 5. I mean, you can make any case you want, as the viewing experience is a personal thing. And I'm not claiming to be the final authority here, or any type of authority on anything for that matter. But for me, Halloween 2018 doesn't compare to Halloween 4 or H2O. Both of those, in my humble opinion, were vastly superior Halloween films. And as for Halloween 2, well, for me at least, that is easily the best sequel of them all. And indeed, if I'm being perfectly honest, I even enjoy Part 2 more than the original classic. The mere fact Halloween 2 had both Loomis and Strode inherently made it a powerhouse viewing experience, and it built on the original in a way that helped evolve slasher movies. Did I mention Tom Atkins kicked a lot of ass in Season of the Witch?
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
In conclusion, I am definitely looking forward to Halloween Kills later this year, October 16th, 2020. Despite my issues with the creative decisions involving the reset dating back to the original rather than Part 2, I still enjoyed 2018, and I'm still optimistically hoping that Halloween Kills will be a significant step up. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful night.
Get upstairs.
What is it?
All right, upstairs. Get Lindsay. Lock the bedroom door. Do as I say.
Boogeyman!
Hurry! Get in there. Barricade the door. Lock it. Do as I say now. Go. Michael's here. Get downstairs. Go, baby, go! Michael, stop!
It's time, Michael.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! No! 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 I shot him in the heart.
Can't have gotten very far. Come on.
I shot him 6 times.
An hour ago, I stood up and fired 6 shots into him. He just got up and walked away.
I shot him 6 times.
Why don't we press the reset button? Why don't we just start over, okay?
I said put down that cocoon!
Put it down.